Hey, I think we did it. We're live. Hey, aloha, y'all. Daniel Aaron. Thanks for tuning in live or by rebroadcast. And Alan, first of all, not his real name. Here's what happened though. Really phenomenal guy. Like I had a great connection with him. We really there was like an instant liking and even a depth. And he shared some stuff with me about some really traumatic, hard stuff has happened in his life and where he's at now and feeling really stuck and hopeless even. Yet, he's had a lot of great success in the past. And so I saw, hey, you know what, let's if you want, let's chat. I can help you with that. Right? That's my jam. That's what I do. I'd love to help you with it. So we had a couple great deep conversations and and then we're gonna have another one and see kind of like, all right, well, let's see where we want this to go. And I suggested to him to watch a video from my mentor, Steve Hardison. And he did. And then the next meeting, when I came back with Alan was furious, like charged up, angry. I was like, whoa, that's not what I expected. For me, when I watched that video from my coach Steve, it was like really inspiring and actually changed my life. And that's the experience I know lots and lots of people have had. So I was like, huh. And then, and so my friend was kind of unloading his judgments about Steve, whom he's never met. And then he went on to say, and then I saw on your website, my website, that you have a video that relates to Tony Robbins. And yes, I did a bunch of work with Tony for 2 years, deep dive, platinum partnerships, all that. And then so Alan went on to unleash a bunch of his judgments about Tony Robbins. And this was like 20 minutes and I'm just listening to all of that and okay, interesting. And I'll pause that part of the story, right? Because here's the thing. What is projection, right? Just in case it's not obvious, projection, lots of ways of saying it, but basically projection is when we take the stuff that's going on inside us that we haven't acknowledged, healed, integrated, made peace with, and we project it out like a projector onto a screen, the screen being in most cases another person or sometimes a situation, right? So we're taking our unresolved stuff and projecting it out there. Now, key component of that is when that judgment, that projection rather, is a judgment that has emotional charge to it, right? So, all right, I might judge that my daughter's boyfriend is a really kind guy, right? True. And you could say that if I see it over there, that's because I have it in me. And fair enough. That kind of judgment is like, okay, fine, doesn't matter, right? There's no problem with that. But the judgments where I see something in someone else, here, I'll give you another example. There's a guy that I am in a group with, kind of like a mastermind thing. And oftentimes when two people are in conversation, including when it gets deep and sometimes sensitive and challenging, this guy's mind goes to quips and puns and makes jokes. And I noticed myself where I was feeling upset about what he was doing, right? So that to me is always a sign that, uh-oh, something's going on in me. If I'm contracted, if I've got upset, if I'm seeing that somewhere else, it's because there's something in me. And then, yeah, sure enough, well, it took me until the next day, right? The next day when I was in my self-creation process, right? I was like, huh, right? And part of what I declare on a regular basis, daily basis, is that nobody deserves my judgment, that I am unconditionally loving. And as soon as I declared that, and one of the great things about declarations is they can immediately bring us to awareness of where we are not doing that. And so immediately I flashed on, oh yeah, yesterday I was judging that dude for his, whatever, you get the idea. So it gave me a chance to own it and to say, yeah, Gosh, I do that, right? I used to do it a lot. I still do it sometimes where someone's telling something serious and I'm like making a joke and I'm not present with them, acknowledging them. So here's the big question. Is it all projection? Right? Yup. Does it all matter? No. Right? Again, right? Somebody asked Byron Katie, one of my favorite teachers who I've been blessed to be with, and I'll say more about her in a moment. Somebody asked her, Katie, if they're all stories, if everything's a story, right, which ones should we question? Right? Or in my way of speaking about it, which ones should we examine, take ownership of? Well, her response was perfect. It was the ones that hurt. The ones that hurt. So here's what I invite you to pay even more attention to is when there is judgment, and that's part of human nature. We judge each other. That's part of the deal here, right? So when that's there, when there's judgment with a charge, with upset, that's an opportunity. That means when we do that, and I do it every day, I have some of it, that means I'm triggered, right? And I can be happy about being triggered because if I work with my trigger, it's in me, then I get more free and I get to be more loving and I get to have a higher quality of life with more vibrancy. Looking down at my notes. So, two more pieces for you. Before I got into yoga, physical asana, physical practice of yoga, I discovered one of the core principles of yoga, which is called ahimsa. I discovered it because for me, I realized my love of animals is not compatible with me eating them and killing them, right? For me, I'm not telling you what to do. And years later, I realized, yoga is built on this principle of ahimsa, which is defined as, sometimes it's defined as nonviolence. A better definition is do as little harm as possible. Or the flip side, do as much good, as much love as possible. Right? So ahimsa is built on the premise that the big truth, what we are all uncovering and learning and discovering again, is that there is nobody out there. It's all us. We are one, right? And that's a lofty spiritual aim because it sure seems like there is difference. It sure seems like you, right, on the other side of this screen, this camera, are different than me. But it's not true. So part of the yogic teaching is use ahimsa, this principle, to do as little harm to that other because we're doing that to ourselves, right? So this is the essence of how Mahatma Gandhi worked with Satyagraha or Martin Luther King Jr. Right? And now, of course, our projections can be what in men's work is sometimes called golden. Like, hey, I see you are so beautiful and wonderful and gorgeous and talented and brilliant. And well, right, that's also me describing me, right? If I see it in you, or as we said as a kid, he who smelt it dealt it. Okay, now, what does this... All right, one more thing on Byron Katie, actually. Something she said, and I heard this almost 30 years ago. I didn't get it much then, and I'm still unpacking it, though I get it a lot more now. She said, there's nothing you can call me that's untrue. A murderer, a rapist, because I've had thoughts. I've had aggressive thoughts. I've had mean thoughts, right? And because I didn't do the thing, does that change it? No. Oh, yes, it's different. Of course, it's different if you've done the physical act, but it's the intention that matters. It's the energetic. So when we can realize that we are everybody and we are everything, right, then we can release the negativity, the judgment, and take ownership, right, and say, yeah, I can find that part of me too. Because here's the thing, y'all. Part of my mission, and I'm guessing this is going to resonate for you, is we are here to make the world better, right? More freedom, love, and vibrancy. We're here to love each other more, to improve our world. We cannot love another while simultaneously judging them, right? We can't. It's just impossible. And by the same token, we can't influence somebody if we are judging them. So all of our work is so that we can understand and love who we are. And every time we are not loving and understanding someone else, it's reminding us that there's more work to do in here. Right? So here's my invitation. Well, one more question. Can judgments be useful? Right? Can they be a good thing? Well, so much of the time in our new age world, we're like, oh, no, I'm enlightened. I wear white all the time. I have beads. I don't judge anybody. It's all love. Right? Yeah, maybe. Maybe when someone is completely evolved to the point of it is all love. But for most of us, judgments come up and they can be a great thing because, again, they point out, there's an opportunity for me to be more free. Right? So I love it when I find my judgments. I mean, I love it and I hate it. Like I find it and I'm like, and then to own it's like, oh, it's not them. Actually, it's me. It's challenging. Moment of pain. And I love it because I get more free and I get more loving. So here's my question to you as we wrap up. And then I got a quotation for you. The question is this: what projections or judgments do you have in your life? What are you holding back or denying and not admitting that if you allowed them to come up and looked at them and took ownership? And by the way, Byron Katie's work is really good. Go to thework.com or thework.org and download her questions, 4-question. Do the work, right? Just write down the judgment. It's so powerful. It's one way of doing it. Really useful. What's there for you? What could you own, unwind, and become free of so you're more loving? All right, now last thing is a quotation. I love this quotation, right? And it's easy to judge others, going back to Alan where I started, right? He's judging Tony Robbins. He's judging my mentor, Steve Hardison. And part of why I'm, as of yet, unwilling to work with him is because I know that if he's not taking responsibility for himself and his own problems, if he's blaming others for what they're doing, well, that's going to infect the coaching relationship too. He's going to see me that way sooner or later, right? So none of us can really move forward in life if we're blaming other people for our problems or our emotions, right? And hey, you know what? Tony Robbins, he's got some foibles, right? There are some things about him that are in development, shall we say, guaranteed. Right? I got enough closeness to see some things that I'm like, okay. Right? And there's some things about him that are phenomenal and amazing, which is true for Alan, which is true for me, which is true for you, right? One thing, though, for sure is it's really useful to take criticism only from people that are actually engaged in life, as I say in Landmark, on the court rather than in the stands. And then we take the criticism as an opinion, as a projection, and we take it on and we say, hey, is this useful? Can I benefit from this? All right, quotation, ready? Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena, from a speech he gave in Paris, I think. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man stumbles, how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself worthy in a worthy cause? Who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? And who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So, what does that mean for you? What's something that you could boldly step forward with, daring greatly, as Brene Brown's book title suggests, that will make you the recipient of projection? And on the flip side, where are the projections that you have, inside or outside, spoken or internal, that you can free yourself from? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that's helpful. I love you. See you later.